Alright, first and foremost, I'm going to say all praises be to Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Rawchaa Qadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, and shalom to the sincere elect, teaching the truth and faith and sincerity from the spirit and power of Yahawashi. It's the brother Shakav from the great millstone, London camp, currently here in Ghana, the west coast of Africa. I had the opportunity to go to two slave castles over here in Ghana. One called Elmina slave castle, which is this one, which was built by the Portuguese, and one also called Cape Coast castle, which is further down, about 10-15 minutes away. And I was able to basically go on the tour and you know, hear certain information I didn't know. And it's like, you know, you shall see in post production all the clips I took. You know, it's really of the tour guide speaking and stuff like that. But I'm gonna just post it up in case, you know, anyone hasn't come across this information before, you know, or been to this castle before. But as a brother in this truth and this word, who's actually, you know, here, what I must say that about the two slave castles that I actually went to, the actual spirit in these castles are heavy, man. It's like, you know, you can actually feel the pain and mourning and weeping in these slave castles, man. Right? It's, you know, and you know, without further ado, I'm gonna bring out some scriptures, man, because we know through the spirit and power of Yahawah that our people experiencing slavery was prophesied in the scriptures. In fact, which you shall see in this clip and video, that this slave castle here is 537 years old. It was built by the Portuguese, and then Portuguese sold it to the Dutch, and the Dutch sold it onto the British English Edomite, right? Which, you know, one thing they all have in common is them being Edomites, right? But as I was saying, the spirit in the slave castles itself is heavy, man. And obviously here's where the here and like on the other side further up there, which I ain't gonna walk up there because it's a bit of a walk, is where, you know, the slave ships were. So with that, I'm gonna get, you know, some scriptures, and you're gonna see the clips posted after. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 68, right? It says, let me get it. And the Lord thy God shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way wherever I spake unto thee, thou shalt see no more again. There ye shall be sold into enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now what's important to understand, when it's talking about Egypt here, it's talking about the new spiritual Egypt, which is the United States of America, man, right? Which, I'm going to read it here. This is Revelation 11 and 8. And a dead body shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord is crucified. America, that whole, is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt because it's Sodom, because as the scripture says, they are the mother of abomination and fornication throughout the earth, right? You know, they've legalized homosexuality, but it's spiritually called Egypt because it also represents a place of bondage and captivity for the 12 tribes of Israel, being your Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. And even on the tour, I actually saw like Edomites on the tour, you know, actually asked that, okay, you know, basically the tour guide was basically speaking about, you know, the slaves and the slaves who were captured, who tried to escape. And basically the Edomite asked, did any of the Jakes who escaped out of the slave castle have a happy ending? And the tour guide straight up said no, they didn't have a happy ending, man, right? Because wow.
this is
Yeah, this is.
for black man. Only so you can ventilate through.
Wow, that is crazy.
Now, this was for the slaves, those who tried to escape, and then those fighting their masters. This one, no food, no water until you die.
Really?
So the death cell, that's why the cross.
Wow. So basically, this room was for like slaves who caused Esau hell, or caused hell and rebelled. And basically, you know, you were just pushed in that room, close the door, no food, no water until you died. Because, you know, the spirit was just against it, right? So, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 48, right? It says Deuteronomy 28 and 48, and it says, you know, I'm gonna start from 46, from 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he command thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon a seed for forever. Now, if you go into a shop, all right, for example, I'm not even to use that example, right? If you read this sign here, it gives a brief description of what it's about, to tell you, you know what it's about, right? You know, for example, like if you want to go to this tour, you know this tour and this service is available because of the tour. So the scripture says the curses on the 12 tribes of Israel will be a sign to prove who we are. It shall be a sign to prove that we're the Israelites. So you shall know who the Israelites are by the signs in which they experience. Right, so let me read what it says here, verse 28 and 48. Therefore, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. This castle, right, according to the tour, which I'll post at the end of the video of this quick impromptu, you know, was originally a place of trade, you know, especially in gold. But then, you know, eventually, of course, at the time, because of the curses had to come upon us, it was a place of slavery where we became that stock that was traded, man, right? But all this brings me to the point to understand, to let you guys know, you so-called people who call yourselves white, the children of Esau, Edom, you are the devil that the Bible speaks of, right? And you and your forefathers, right, which are reincarnated as you upon the earth, will pay for the slavery. You are gonna feel you are gonna pay for slavery, right? Because you touch the people of the Lord. This is Zechariah 2 and 8, right? And it says, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. Now, imagine you have a favorite son, all right, and then he gets sent to school. When he gets sent to school, he actually gets stripped, he gets raped, he gets shit stuck in his mouth, has his rod cut off, and then killed. How you gonna feel about that? Well, the scripture says in Exodus 4:22 that Israel is my son, even my firstborn. Right, the firstborn son is really your strength, right? So imagine a person touching your chosen son, your firstborn son. How are you gonna feel about that? You're gonna be really upset about that, right? You know, but what does the scripture say? Right, because since you touched us, everything has got a consequence. This is Revelation 13 and 8, and it says. And 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leaveth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So right now, people like to try and say slavery didn't happen, slavery didn't exist. I'm standing in front of an actual, like a monument right here, 537 years old, right? Which the Spirit moved me to come here and visit, right? You know, so you know, with that I'm gonna say all praises be. You know what? Fuck that, man. I'm gonna bring out some more precepts. Sorry, man, because this place has a heavy spirit, right? This is Nahum chapter 1 and 3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Now, the seed of the wicked, according to the Bible, is the children of Esau, Edom, right? And the scripture's saying he ain't gonna acquit you. You will fucking pay for it, right? So without further ado, I'm gonna end the video, and you're gonna see the clips. I'm gonna say, well, praise be to Yahawashi, the one apostles and elders, great millstone. With that, I'm saying shalom. All right. First and foremost, I'm gonna say all praises be to Yahawah, Yahawashi, Rawchaa Qadash. The double honors unto the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Shalom to the sincere elect, teaching the truth and faith and sincerity through the spirit and power of Yahawah, Rawchaa Qadash. It's the brother Shakal from the GMS, the London camp, right? I'm currently here in Ghana, to the west coast of Africa, and I'm currently at Elmina Castle in Cape Coast, right? And over here is where they kept our people right before they were put on them slave ships, right? And if there's anything I must say, is that the spirit of this place is a spirit of mourning.
Have you watched this?
Yeah. Like, yeah, the spirit of this place is a spirit of mourning, right? And essentially speaking, you know, so-called Esau, so-called white people, which their true name is Esau, they are gonna have to pay. And over there is where the ships got docked before they got sent on them ships.
Here with the Afghans and checked on the people as they went through the passage. And as I said, it's about 17-foot drop. Nobody has ever fallen down there before. You can take a closer look, but please don't fall down. Don't. That's how we drop. Get closer, but don't fall down. Don't push it over.
Move careful.
To build, to slave, using cheap African slave labor.
Okay. What were they getting their material?
Materials, they brought lime powder, pitch pine, marble tar, and all of that from England. They use these materials to balance the ships from Europe to Africa. Then when they get to Africa, they use gold, ivory, spices, African men, women, and several other materials, balancing the ship from Africa to the Americas. And then in the Americas, they'll get sugar, cotton, tobacco, coffee, rum, and other things to balance the ships to Europe. And they fed all these, they used all these things to feed the industries in Europe. Money that was made from it was what they used in building Europe and the United States of America. That's right. And this is what we call the triangular trade.
And now...
That's right.
There was rather a door on the side. That was the door of no return for all of the men. They will exit this way, take boats on the shore to the ships. And if we bring this wall down right now, where we saw the shrine in the male dungeon, we will all go straight to that place. So the men had to walk from there to here. Then they will exit from there. But they blocked that door because the sea water, which was very far, was coming much closer. They opened the one we used in here now. The men started going out that way, using the door of no return on the female side. Let's talk about the female punishment cell now. Where African women, those that will not allow themselves to be abused sexually and everything, will be held. Maximum a week. Maximum number of people, 6. The holding there was where they had to defecate and urinate whilst in the cell, and food and water was given to them through here. At the same time, this was the source of light and air. If you are sober, they send you back into the female dungeons, but there were some that were found dead in there. They pick up the dead bodies, they throw them into the sea. Let's talk about the female dungeons now. We have 2 separate rooms, this one and the one on the opposite side. Each one holding about 150 women, at least a maximum 250. Ladies and gentlemen, the women will sleep, they urinate, defecate here, but in general, men and women in the dungeons of the castle will only have pieces of cloth around their waist. And that's all they will have for 3 months of their stay here. 3 months aboard a slave ship till they arrive at the destinations. Here in the dungeons of the castle, they never took a single shower because they had already taken their last bath at Hasima's slave market, and they walked from there to here. Sometimes it became very hot in the dungeons that they had to splash water on the people to cool them down. But cooling people down never means you are washing anybody up. It means cooling down. So what will happen at that time of the month when all these women are supposed to be menstruating, without sanitary towels provided them, it means that piece of cloth you have is what you have to use in handling your business for 3 months of your stay here, 3 months aboard a slave ship, till you make it out there. How comfortable would that be for any woman going through that? But constantly, since the Europeans were not bringing women around here, they frequented the female dungeons, picking women up, abusing them sexually, so much so that sometimes they found women showing signs of pregnancy in the dungeons. If you're pregnant here, they have houses out of the castle where they care for you. You will have your child. The child will be cared for. They become clerks, secretaries, and all of that, bridging the gap between the local African community and the European community, which help European businesses immensely. What about the mothers? If you have the baby, they like you, you will stay there. You will not come back here. But if they don't, they will bring you back here and send you out of here. But ladies and gentlemen, there were some women that were equally pregnant aboard slave ships. Pregnancy as it stands comes with lots of complications. Conditions aboard the ship was much horrible than that of the dungeons by far. You'll find yourself at the bottom of the deck. There are people at the top every day, every night. They will defecate and urinate, and people will be menstruating, and others will be vomiting because of seasickness and all kinds of stuff. It will not stay at the top. It will be dropping from the top to the bottom. 6 weeks or 3 months of the journey. By the time they make it to the destinations, out of 100%, 40% of the people will be dead. 60% of them survive, but whether people die or survive, either way, the Europeans still made easy good money, all in the name of insurance. It's with money, but in the Americas, people paid hundreds and thousands of dollars to buy the African men and women. And the slave trade didn't go on for just a year or two, but for almost 400 years. That is why the transatlantic slave trade is said to be one of the most profitable businesses that ever existed on the surface of the earth. People that participated made so much money that even today their children are enjoying from that wealth.
That's right.
Well,
that's right.
Let's talk about the door.
There's children still profiting from that wealth to this very day. You know?
Servitude was a thing that already went on amongst local African settlers. So they started supplying the people which they were using to work domestically and everything to the Europeans. And there came a time, let's say that the slave trade went on for almost about 400 years. If they did, there came a time Africans came to realize exactly what the Europeans were doing. But the question here is, did they stop doing the business? Yes, others stopped, but majority still went ahead and did the business with the Europeans because, you know, they were deeply rooted into it and they were making money and everything. And it's happening today. People realize that they are hurting their brothers and sisters. But all they see beyond that is money, so they will go ahead, hurt them and make that money. Because we see more motivated in getting supply out to local people. And so you realize a divide and conquer system all over the place. Please, the door of no return, whoever walked out of the door never ever came back. You go out of the door, you lose your name, your property, your family, your dignity, your freedom, everything is taken away from you. And anytime they go out, the stairs we see out there is the original stairs they used down. Whenever they went down the stairs, the soil down there became the last African soil they ever touched on the African continent because the boats were there. If you get aboard a boat, you don't touch the African soil again. And an estimated number of about 4 million Africans were said to have walked out of the door of no return here in Cape Coast Castle within the period of 200 years of slave trade by the British in this castle. Of all the Africans that left Africa, it was the Portuguese that took the biggest number. Out of 100%, the Portuguese took about 47%, taking most of them to South America.
Yep.
Because of that, in the whole world, Nigeria has got the biggest African population. But Brazil are competing with Nigeria in terms of African population in the world. Which means there are more blacks living in Brazil than Ghana, which is an entire African country.
Yep.
It's weird, but it's the fact.
It's facts.
The British took about 26%. Most of the people they took found themselves in the Caribbean islands, not in the United States of America. And about 70% of people that went through this castle were Ghanaians, 30% from other neighboring West African nations. And directly from here, they were sending people to places known as Barbados, Jamaica, Grenada, British Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, St. Thomas, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Montserrat, South and North Carolina, Alabama, Virginia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, New York, and several other parts. So in 2009, the Obamas visited Cape Coast Castle. It wasn't because they just wanted to visit, I tell you what, they came here because Michelle Obama had traced their ancestry to this very fort and to this town. So she came to see where the ancestors were taken from.
Through the door of no return.
That's my man.
This one you don't had enough. We just started. We just started.
Identified graves. This one here is for a native. He was born here in Cape Coast, but at the age of 11 in 1753 he was sent to England on a scholarship, and that's where he stayed till 25 years after serving a year in Anglican Church of Canterbury. Then they brought him to Cape Coast Castle as a missionary and a schoolmaster. He came here and worked in this castle from 25 years till 75 years when he died. Then he was buried here. Philip Quake, a Ghanaian, a Cape Coaster. C.B. Whitehead, a British Army officer and a lawyer, coming here around 1810. At the age of 36, he worked here till 1812. At the age of 38, then he died. But this is what happened. When this man died, no one knew exactly what killed him. Lots of alcohol thinking that will cure them, but they always ended up killing themselves. That is why amongst Europeans at that time, they called this place White Man's Grave. Letitia Elizabeth Langdon and George McLean were husband and wife. George McLean came here first around 1830 as a president of British Committee of Merchants, and the wife came to visit 1838. When the wife got here, within 2 months in the same year, she was found dead in the husband's bed. There were rumors that she poisoned herself out of jealousy, because when she came, she found out the husband was having an affair with a very beautiful African lady called Miss Ellen BANYAMAN. Adam? The door you're looking at will be the only original door left in this castle. It has got copper on the outside and pitch pine wood on the inside. It's nothing less than 200 years. This small space was a cell for European soldiers, those that got drunk and misbehaved most of the times in the castle. They will be checked by letting them stay here a few hours. They had light and air, they were given food and water, and whenever they were sober, they allowed them to go. But African men were sent all the way to the back, locked up with 2 doors. Behind the 2 doors, there was no food, there was no water, there was no light, there was no air. They stayed there until they lost their last breath. They will pick up the dead bodies and throw them into the sea. But before they pick up, they make sure the people in the dungeons are out here at the courtyard to witness the bodies being thrown out, serve as a deterrent to them that they can't get up and misbehave just as they did. We are going to enter, but please watch your heads as you come in. The doors are very short. So let's come.
Wow. Man, this is crazy. Imagine being in there. This is hot, man. There's basically no air. Not really.
What's your head, mommy? Sorry, mommy. What's your head? Good. Just stay right here. Okay, so I would love for you to turn off the flashlight so that we can feel it. Yes, thank you. So the thing is, in this room, you will not see a single light. Because of the 2 doors which they used in separating African men here from European soldiers there. It will be pitch black. The person beside you, you don't see their face. You just hear them talk, but what they say you don't even understand because of language barrier. The next day you end up realizing it's starting to be very quiet around you. You try to move around just to hear a person whisper a word, but the people you move around touching are dead. They'll pick all the dead ones out and throw them into the sea, but if you are here, you are not dead. You still stay here until you die. And maximum 3 days, the strongest person is going to pass out because there is no air to breathe in. There is no water to keep you hydrated. And these were men that always stood up for themselves and gave the Europeans a fight, trying to get out of the dungeons of the castle, the shackles and chains they were in, and the castle itself. They will beat them up, throw them in here, call them stubborn or recalcitrant slaves for them to go through this.
So, I would say anyone that comes in here is condemned.
Anyone that comes in here is about to die. You don't go out alive. I'm sorry.
No survivor.
Well, if you want to stay here for about 10 minutes, that'll be fine. I'll be out there doing something. Watch your head in this bedroom. Successful escape. So the view up here is a very good one. I know people have started taking their selfies and all of that. So please, I'll give you about 180 seconds for it. Take your pictures and let's continue. Feel free.
Yeah, man, as you can see, that's where the ships were when they put our ancestors on them ships before they left. And to anyone out there, you obviously trying to say slavery didn't happen, slavery wasn't real. This right here is proof. Hey man, the truth, man. This place has got like a real sad aura, a real like heartbroken spirit and aura is here, because this actually happened, you know, and we're in front of the proof, you know. Bless. Yeah. This is Elmina slave castle built by the Portuguese. This slave castle is huge, man.
Where the female slaves were held. So all the rooms here were dungeons for the female slaves. The women were about 400, and then the male slaves were about 600. So in total, the castle held approximately 1,000 at a time. At a time? Yes. And that's what they used to punish the female slaves. They said when the Europeans arrived, only the men were here without their wives, but they were dying at that time. Diseases like malaria. So the shores of this country were referred to as the white man's grave. So only the men came here without their, and some of them were raping the women. There were soldiers here, missionaries, merchants, the governor, and the assistant. So the women, those who resisted rape, those who tried to escape, then those fighting the masters to be released were brought here, chained to the leg. Then the person will be allowed to stand here, whether there is rain or sunshine.
Wow.
Then they did this. Yes, it's very heavy. They did this to put fear in the rest of the women in the dungeons. So next time when you are called to do something, quickly have to obey. So that is the purpose of that.
Can you catch it?
If you want to lift it up, you can do it.
Very heavy.
Actually, one day,
Whoa. Very heavy. So look at how heavy they be changing.
oh, that's really heavy, man. You know,
Couple of hours. Yeah. All days.
if you know, I mean, if you have that chain around, I can carry it,
It's heavy.
but it's chained around your leg.
25 kilometers.
I can carry it, but think about it. If it's chained to your leg, you ain't going nowhere.
At that time, they used these ones. Iron bars. But the castle is very close to the sea, So the original bars have all been replaced with wood. So wherever you see wood like this, they were using this one. Yeah. And then the clothes that you see on the floor, these are not the original ones. There was a program here. It was held on 3rd July 2015. The title for the program is The Return of the Slaves. So many people came to this place, some from the States, some from UK, some from Nigeria, so many places. Ghana, Togo. They slept in this dungeon for one night, just to have a feel of how the slaves felt.
So they left their food here.
So they left. And they were even allowed to urinate here. So the next day when you come here, you can't stand over there. The stench was so strong. So you can picture how the slaves
ancestors felt
when they were here. And in this castle we have 2 churches. The church, the museum used to be a church. It's a Catholic church for the Portuguese. When the Dutch took over, they were not Catholics. Dutch were Protestants. So they built their own church, ironically, on top of this dungeon. So they were worshipping God up. Women were down, always crying for help.
So this is female.
Yeah, this is one of the female.
And they were urinating there.
Yes, no choice.
and they were having church over there also. Hey, about you.
Yep. I brought for you.
Oh, what the
Wow, that's deep.
This one is water.
It's a water reservoir. They connected pipes like this right on top of the building. So when it rains, it passes through. The water was filtered over there. There were stones here. You check it, and then clean one will be harvested here. And this covers the whole floor, so we are all standing on it. And when it is full, we have 20,000 gallons of water. And they said, anytime the governor of the castle wants to rape someone, that is where he stands.
Rape someone.
Yes, some of them.
You want to enjoy this?
Some of them will be assembled as we are. He chooses the one he likes. Now they fetch water for the woman to wash down. Maybe the person might have been in the dungeon for so long without taking a bath. And after the humiliation, they will force the woman to pass through. Let's have a look. Now the selected woman climbs this one. There is a trap door on top. Open the door and up the door straight to the governor's bedroom. And after the act, the woman comes back as a slave. Yes, and then because of what happened, they said a lot of the women got pregnant. And those who got pregnant were freed. Because no one would buy a pregnant slave. But since the slaves, some of them were from far away, not only in Ghana, some from Nigeria, Togo, so many places. So when they were freed, they could not trace, some of them could not trace their roots. So they built houses outside the castle to accommodate them. Later they brought the children, and then these children were educated here because they were light-skinned. That's why even today in Ghana, we have names like Van der Voort, we have Van Dyke, Yella, Johnson, Ferguson, Blanson, and all these names, all as a result of the coming of the Jews.
One time in the story,
Sure.
Now, among the female dungeons, this one is the largest. All the dungeons is the largest one. And because this is the largest dungeon, they said at that time 150 women were here. 150. There was a door at the side closed. Another door over there. So ventilation was on this one. Then the one you see at the end. They were sleeping on the bare floor. And there were no toilet facilities for them. Because initially they were using the rooms on the ground floor as their storerooms when they started trading in goods. So when they shifted to slavery, the same rooms were converted to dungeons. So that's why, so they said they put containers in the dungeons for the slaves to eat themselves. And they were in the dungeons for 2.5 to 3 months to wait for the ships. But there were no machines at that time. So any ship that came here used the power of the wind from America to this place or Caribbean. That's why a lot of them died. And those who died, they were thrown into the sea. Those who survived joined them. When you go to the Elmina township, you have the Dutch cemetery. It's still there. So Dutch were burying their own people as the slaves. But the black people were thrown into the sea.
Yep.
Sorry, eh? So when you keep telling this, then I think you need a lot of whiskey. Yeah. Yeah. Human being.
The female slaves who survived through the brutalities there, they were all back in chains. Then they forced them to pass through this. When you pass through, you get to the door of no returns. These bars you see were not there at that time. British placed the bars when they bought the castle to make sure nobody falls down. And at that time there were steps. Today the steps have been destroyed. As you can see, there's a drainage system constructed because sometimes when it rains heavily in the steps, so they did this whenever there is heavy downpour, the rains will just get out of the castle and then to join them. See, so we are going there. We're going to see the door of no return. Yeah.
The interesting thing about this place so far, Elmina Castle over here in Ghana, is that it's hot. It's very hot. You know, I mean, I've obviously been there before. I've lived there, went to school here, and it's like, can you imagine being in them tight places, chained up to somebody, in total heat, shitting and pissing on yourself? That's why Esau people call themselves white children of Esau. You're gonna pay for this.
See, we have 2 separate cells.
Yeah.
And apart from these 2 cells, the rest of the rooms on the ground floor up to the side were dungeons for about 600 male slaves. The governor was on top of everybody, you see. Assistant governor follows. Then the rest of the rooms were for soldiers. You have the missionaries and this part for the merchants. And this wall, the slanted wall here, when you look over there, you have a similar one. Have you seen it?
Yeah, yeah.
That added the walls support the walls of the castle. Yeah. But the iron race you see on top of it, you have similar one there. British used the castle as police training school in 1948.
Wow.
So the policemen were climbing up and down for training.
Wow.
This is the church. This is the first Christian church in Ghana built by the Portuguese.
So,
the Catholic church.
Oh, so what? The actual first Christian church in Ghana was actually
now
built in
it's a museum. You see?
Okay.
When the Dutch came, they were not Catholics. Dutch were Protestants. So they divided the church into 2. They used the ground floor as a hall of trade, and then the upper part as the junior soldiers' mess. And the Dutch built their own church.
Wow.
On top of the female dungeon.
Wow.
Now let's see the door of no return.
Wow. So the first Christian church in this country was built in this slave castle. Wow. That is crazy. After that, I gotta get a video next to that. Yeah. That is crazy, bro. Door of no return.
That was where they kept branding irons. The male slaves were branded. So the branding irons had the initials of the masters on top. They put them in fire, very hot. When removed, you touch either your chest, your arms, or your back. So the marks will be there for easy identification. So that was where they came. Yeah, that's what you do that. Yes. Now, please remind your head there is one step down. Remind your head step down.
It's so dark in there.
So the women were coming down. There were steps at that time. And the male slaves also from here. So they were all in chains. And then they passed through. This is where we have the door of no return.
Is that the door of no return?
You are now going there. And this side, you bow very low. Count 5 steps. After the steps, you raise up again.
Wow. So this is the door of no return. It's so tiny, you literally have to squat all the way down to get underneath it.
Yeah, so this is the door of no return. All the slaves passed through this. So immediately you pass through this, you have to say bye-bye to Africa.
Wow.
The sea was very close. Today it has receded. So small canoes took them right from this side to the big ones, off to Caribbean or America for plantation. But what the history is saying is that those who died at sea were more than those who died in the dungeons.
Watch your head, watch your head. Watch your head. Wow.
Yes, because of how they were packed in the ship. Because when the trade was going on, there was somebody around. He was a slave ship captain. The name of the man is John Milton. He gave an example that when a ship takes 700 slaves, either 1/3 or half died.
Wow.
When he died straight into the sea. But John Newton, the man later became a priest, pastor.
Wow.
So when they die, what happens to them? They throw them into the sea.
Yeah.
Hey.
He became a priest. You know this song, Amazing Grace?
Yeah.
He was the one who composed the song. Later he became a pastor, like a priest, and repented. Maybe he regretted the 40 days. Then, yeah. Became a pastor. That's why many people lay wreaths that you see at the corners of the floor to remember those who died in the dungeons, as well as those who also died at sea.
So the actual purpose of that song was to basically kind of apologize.
I don't know.
Yes, to apologize.
The slave.
It's a sign of regret.
Sign of regret.
And you see, before the slaves would be brought to the dungeons at that time, they were sent to a village in Ghana here. We call the place Asenmansu. I don't know what it's called.
I know Asenmansu.
Yeah. There's a river there. That was where the slaves were shaved. Then they had their last bath before they were brought to the dungeons. So the river is still there. We call it Don Consio in our local language. In English, it's Slave River. When you go there, you see that. When you go there, you see that 2 people have been reburied there. One is Asimas, where we have the Slave River. One is from America, the other one is from Jamaica. Their names are Samuel Carson and Madame Crystal. They died outside this country, they were buried. But when the Ghanaians were celebrating the first Emancipation Day, their mortal remains were exhumed. So they brought their remains back to this country to preside the other castle, Cape Coast Castle. That is why when you visit Cape Coast Castle, we have the door of no return and the door of what return.
You don't have it here.
No, it's the same door, but they have written it. Inside they have written the door of no return. And outside they wrote the door of return when they brought the remains. So they performed some ceremony for them at Cape Coast Castle. And after the ceremony, they sent their remains back to where they had their last part to be reburied. And then they did that to honor them because they said they fought for the Africans in terms of racism and so many other things. That's why they did that for them. So you can also visit. A lot of people go there. I first visited them when I was in high school.
They are cinemas.
Cinemas still everywhere. Nowadays I take a lot of tourists there. It's open to everybody.
Alright, so behind me over there is the first church that was built in the whole country of Ghana, and this happened to be built in the slave castle which we're in now, Elmina slave castle. So the first church in Ghana was built in a slave castle where they kept our people and shipped them off before they got sent, you know, to places like Brazil, the Caribbean, and so on and so forth. So again, just to confirm, the first church that was ever built in Ghana was built in the slave castle here in Elmina Castle.
They also converted the towers into prisons.
Oh.
Yes.
Into what?
Prisons. So they captured they captured this queen mother Yahawashi.
Yep.
And then imprisoned her in this one.
Yeah.
And later she was exiled to Seychelles Island. Yeah, she was captured in 1900. And then this one, they also captured this king, Prempe. Prempe, the first, was also captured by the British 1886. Imprisoned in this one for 4 years. They resisted from here he was sent to
you know my grandmother on my mom's side is related to Yahawashi. Yeah. I found that out like not too long ago.
The selected woman came up here to the governor's bedroom. And this is where the governor was starting to select or choose the one he likes.
So basically, when he wanted to rape a female slave, he'd stand here.
Come and see me.
Yeah. So basically, the slave masters would basically stand here, and if they, you know, felt the need or felt the urge to pick a slave, they stand here, point, she come upstairs and get raped. This is Elmina slave castle.
Yeah, the simpler one is eternity, and the triangular one is perfection. So when there was Christians here, so there were people here who were not Christians.
This is the governor's room. Here's his view while he's seeing our people getting shipped off, having a mighty old time. And this is his next room. Here is the toilet and bath. Okay.
No, one governor and the assistants. That's one.
So the whole
castle, this one and then the fourth. They have a governor, one governor. Yeah. So when the Portuguese were here, they were having their governor. Dutch people, they had their governor. Because Portuguese came first.
Yep.
1471, they were led by someone by name Dom Diego de Azambuja. So they built the castle 1482.
Yep.
But initially they were trading in goods. But the Portuguese brought guns, gunpowder, tobacco, alcoholic beverages, even mirror, exchange of gold from the locals. They were getting a lot of gold. That's why they named this place Elmina. So Elmina means the mine, gold mine.
Elmina, the mine.
Later they stopped the gold trade and then they shifted to slave trade in 1500. Early part of 16th
God. They were trading first gold. Or just you can win also the same mark.
Yes. And the Portuguese spent 155 years. Dutch
Like
came up in 1637. Also continued from where the Portuguese ended. The Dutch also spent 235 years. And the Dutch were here, British were at Cape Coast. And then those from Denmark were in Accra or Sukas. Danish built it in 1661. Cape Coast Castle by the British in 1665.
So this was a center of trade.
Yes, Ghana was like a hub. Moving them down apart from Ghana, there's a castle in Senegal. Called it Goree Island. And they also built forts in some of the African countries. There were also slave markets. So when you go to Nigeria, we have Badagry slave market. The same Nigeria, we have Calabar slave market. And in Ghana, there was a slave market in the north. We call it a Salaga slave market. But when the slave trade was over, Dutch sold the castle to the British in 1872. And the British also left when Ghana became independent state. But later the castle became a property under UNESCO as one of the world's heritage monuments in 1979. It is the oldest and the largest castle in the world. I'll put it this way, when you're talking of transatlantic slave trade. So as it stands now, the castle is 537 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
I think that's
They were
through inter-tribal wars, those who were defeated. Some of the Africans were fighting against the See, the Europeans tried as much as possible to bring division in Africa. So you see the Dutch supporting the Ashantis, British supporting the British. So you see a very so that's how. So those who were defeated were prisoners of war. They were brought here in exchange of goods.
Okay.
People who also went to remote villages. And then they were capturing them, they were kidnapping them, and got them raiders, slave raiders. They also went to remote villages. They were also bringing them. That's how we did it.
Wow.
So they came from various African countries.
And not only some from Nigeria,
Spain and Portugal.
Ghana was like a hub.
A hole for the shit.
So that is it. So that is the end.
And then the top that way.
That was where the Yahasans were.
Okay, Yahasans from.
And then there's some work going on. That's where they closed the other side.
Alright, cool.
That's where we see. Yeah, so that is it.
Cool.